Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to drive a car from the future back in the 1950s? A time when automobiles weren't just machines, they were rolling works of art, drenched in dreams, exaggeration, and an overwhelming obsession with aerodynamics, turbine-inspired design, and unrestrained luxury. Today, we're diving into a world that feels straight out of a sci-fi film, but was very real. We're talking about American concept cars that made history, that defied the logic of their time, and that today, though many were destroyed or hidden, remain icons of the boldest automotive design ever imagined. Because what you're about to discover is a time-traveling journey into an era when cars had no limits, technical or aesthetic. And if you're here, it's because you also feel that special connection to classic cars, those that weren't just driven, but lived. You know that every curve in those designs holds a story, an emotion, a glimpse into what could have been. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these concepts would have made you dream when you were young, or which one do you wish would be reborn today? Leave us your comment below, because this channel isn't just for admiring cars. It's for building a community of passionate people who share the same nostalgia, the same curiosity, the same love for a golden age that still lives on in our memories. If this content strikes a chord, makes you smile, or remember, give us a like. It lets us know we're on the right track. And don't forget to subscribe, because this is just the beginning of a series where each car is a time capsule, and you're part of the journey. 1953 Cadillac Le Mans concept. Imagine yourself in 1953 in the heart of the golden age of automotive design, and suddenly this appears before you, a land-bound spaceship wearing a Cadillac badge with lines that look like they were drawn by a sci-fi artist. The Cadillac Le Mans concept wasn't just a car, it was a statement of what Cadillac believed the future of American luxury could be. This prototype was created to honor the legendary French endurance race, but it wasn't built to race. It was built to command attention, elegance, and visual power. Under the hood, it housed a 5.4-liter V8 engine pushing out 250 horsepower, an impressive figure for the time. And here's the twist. Despite its name, it never touched the asphalt at Le Mans. Its place was on stage, at shows, and in the dreams of designers. Its design was low, aggressive, yet majestic, standing just 1.32 meters tall. Its fiberglass body, yes, fiberglass in the 1950s, was a technological statement all its own. The tail fins, so quintessentially Cadillac, looked like wings ready to take off, and the interior was a parallel universe of leather, brushed metal, and pure American luxury at its boldest. Only 4 units were ever built. Of those, one was stolen in the 1950s and never seen again. Some believe it was destroyed. Others say it's hidden in a forgotten barn somewhere. Whatever the truth, the mystery only adds to the legend. Today, if you wanted one in your collection, assuming they all still existed, you'd be talking over $5 million easily. Because this wasn't just a concept car. It was Cadillac saying, this is what greatness looks like when there are no limits. 1955, Lincoln Futura. Sometimes the fate of a concept car goes far beyond what its creators ever imagined. The 1955 Lincoln Futura was born a futuristic masterpiece and ended up immortalized as the most iconic Batmobile of all time. Designed by Bill Schmidt and hand-built by Ghia in Italy, the Futura was a symphony of wild curves, shark fin fenders, and a dual glass canopy that looked like it came straight out of a science fiction movie, because it did, literally. Its radical design captured the imagination so strongly that it made its way to the big screen before becoming a television legend. Under the hood, it featured a 6.0-liter V8 engine pushing out around 300 horsepower, just as powerful as it was spectacular. But what truly mesmerized people was its appearance. Wide, low, aggressive, and elegant, like a spaceship on wheels. It was so advanced that production was never even considered. Only 1 unit was ever built. And here comes the twist. In 1966, legendary Hollywood car designer George Barris bought the Futura from Ford for just $1, and in only 3 weeks, he transformed it into the original Batmobile for the Batman TV series starring Adam West. Yes, the car that millions of people saw on their screens every week was this very Lincoln Futura, reborn as a nighttime hero. Today, the original Batmobile, with the soul of the Futura, is valued at over $4 million. But more than its monetary value, what this car represents is a bridge between bold automotive design and everlasting pop culture. The Lincoln Futura didn't just imagine the future, it became a part of it. 1953 to 1958, GM Firebirds. If there was ever a series of prototypes that looked more ready to fly than drive, it was the GM Firebirds. No, we're not talking about the muscle cars of the 70s. We're talking about 3 true experimental spacecrafts created by General Motors between 1953 and 1958. And yes, when we say spacecraft, we mean it. These machines were the direct reflection of a jet-crazed, future-obsessed America. It all started with the Firebird de Faro, 1953, a rocket-shaped insanity on wheels. It was so extreme, it looked more suited for a military runway than any highway. It didn't even have a conventional engine. It ran on a gas turbine producing 370 horsepower. In 1953, now consider this, the car weighed just over 1.1 tons. Imagine that power-to-weight ratio. It was practically a land rocket. It had a fully enclosed cockpit, tail fins, and a needle-like nose that looked ready to shatter the sound barrier. Only one was ever built. It wasn't a car. It was a technological flex. Then came the Firebird 2. 1956, things got even more serious. This one also ran on a gas turbine, but the focus shifted to group transportation, the vision of tomorrow's mobility. Its body was made of titanium, making it absurdly expensive and impossible to mass produce. It was designed to run on automated highways, a total science fiction concept in the 1950s. Imagine sitting in a car that drove itself in 1956. Too far ahead of its time? Absolutely. The Firebird 2 was the first car ever designed to communicate with road infrastructure. An idea that sounds familiar today, but back then, it was something straight out of Flash Gordon. And finally, the most spectacular of them all, the Firebird 3, 1958. This one left all logic behind and dove headfirst into futuristic madness. It had 2 massive vertical tail fins, joystick controls, electronic power steering, automatic braking, and even an experimental autopilot system. Visually, it looked like an alien creature on wheels. The body was made of fiberglass, painted in pearlescent silver, and its turbine produced around 225 horsepower, plus an electric motor to power secondary systems. That's right, a dual motor car in the 1950s. The Firebird series wasn't just a display of industrial might. It was a no-holds-barred experiment, a bold declaration that the future had no boundaries. None of the 3 was ever intended for production, and all were preserved by GM as museum treasures. But the impact they left behind still pulses in today's tech and design. And now it's your turn. Which of the 3 Firebirds do you think is the most incredible? The original missile of 1953, the titanium self-driver of 1956, or the alien starship from 1958? Your opinion is gold, because these cars weren't built for the masses. They were built for dreamers like you. Drop us a comment below and tell us, which one would you park in your impossible garage? 1959, Cadillac, Cyclone. The decade was coming to an end, but Cadillac had no intention of going quietly. In fact, what they unveiled that year was a scream into the future. The Cadillac Cyclone, a concept so radical it looked like it had jumped straight out of a pulp science fiction novel. Imagine seeing it for the first time at an auto show. A low, elongated car with a pointed nose shaped like a rocket and 2 large black domes at the front. They weren't headlights. They were radar units. Yes, radar-based obstacle detection, an early prototype of what we now call a forward collision system, in 1959. Can you believe it? The Cyclone was the final concept designed by Harley Earl, the legendary designer who had defined Cadillac's entire golden era. And what a farewell it was. Beneath that futuristic fiberglass body sat a 6.3-liter V8 engine pushing out around 325 horsepower, mounted on a low-riding chassis that gave the car a nearly floating driving feel. But beyond the engine, it was the details that truly mesmerized. The doors opened backward and slid into the body, an entrance as sophisticated as it was theatrical. And the bubble canopy came with built-in UV protection, something even today's modern cars don't always offer with such elegance. Only one unit was ever built. And fortunately, GM preserved it. Today it lives on as a museum piece, valued in the millions, not just for its rarity, but because it represents a time when imagination didn't ask permission from logic. The Cadillac Cyclone wasn't meant for the streets. It was a statement, a Cadillac that told the world, yes, we can design something worthy of Mars. 1956 Centurion concept. When Buick introduced the Centurion concept, they weren't just showing off a car, they were unveiling a cinematic vision of the future, one that looked like it came straight out of the Jetsons, before the Jetsons even existed. The first thing that captured everyone's attention was its transparent bubble-like canopy, just like a fighter jet's cockpit, made entirely from acrylic. Getting into this car must have felt like putting on a space helmet, and it wasn't just for show. It offered a full 360-degree view, something even many modern cars still can't quite pull off. But what really makes the Centurion unforgettable isn't visible at first glance. In the rear, right at the center, it had a fully functional backup camera connected to a small screen on the dashboard. Yes, you read that right. In 1956. At a time when in-car television was still pure fantasy, Buick was experimenting with tech the industry wouldn't adopt for decades. Beneath that sleek red body with smooth curves and futuristic lines lived a 6.0-liter 5.8 engine, delivering close to 300 horsepower, more than enough for this land rocket to move with elegance and power. Only one was ever built, and like so many of these magical 50s concepts, it wasn't meant to be sold. It was built to inspire. Today, the Centurion is preserved like a piece of fine art, not just for its impossible design, but because it reminds us of a time when the future wasn't something to worry about. It was something to look forward to. And Buick, just for a moment, let us touch it. 1951 GM Le Sabre. Though it was unveiled in 1951, the GM Le Sabre deserves its place of honor among the most impactful concept cars of the 1950s, because it was the one that lit the spark for all the futuristic madness that followed. This car wasn't just a concept, it was a revolution on four wheels. Harley Earl's first great experiment in fusing aviation and automotive design. One look is all it takes to understand it. The Le Sabre looks like a wingless fighter jet. Its body, sculpted from aluminum, magnesium, and even fiberglass, was lightweight, durable, and absolutely groundbreaking for its time. The design? Inspired by the F-86 Sabre fighter jets that dominated the skies during the Korean War, hence the name. The extended nose, hidden headlights, and dramatic central rear fin all scream speed, power, and technological progress. This was one of the first cars in the world with automatic rain-sensing windshield wipers, automatic climate control, and, get this, a supercharged 3.5-liter V8 producing around 335 horsepower. In 1951, that bordered on science fiction. But the Le Sabre wasn't just about power. It was also the first car in the world to use integrated bumpers, seamlessly built into the body, a design feature that would become standard in later decades. And perhaps the most fascinating detail, Harley Earl himself used the Le Sabre as his personal vehicle for years, driving across the country in a machine that looked like it had landed from another planet. Only one unit was ever built, and thankfully it still exists, preserved today as a living masterpiece of automotive design. The GM LeSabre was the original spark, the starting point, the car that showed America the future could be built, even if it was only to be admired. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think this was the most influential concept car of all time? Drop your thoughts below. Many consider it the father of all modern concepts, but we want your take. Was it a gem ahead of its time, or a dream too big for the road? 1956, Pontiac Club de Mer. The Pontiac Club de Mer was the perfect fusion of automotive engineering and nautical design. If the GM LeSabre looked like a jet, the Club de Mer looked like a luxury yacht on wheels, ready to glide across the asphalt as if it were slicing through open water. From the very first glance, this open-top roadster captivates. It's low, sleek, and elongated, with a waistline so low it barely reaches hip height. Its polished aluminum body reflected the sky itself, and that infinite hood with its twin air intakes gave the impression you were staring down a precision torpedo, elegant and aggressive all at once. Inspired by Le Mans race cars and the styling of speedboats, the Club de Mer housed a 4.9-liter V8 engine under its hood, delivering about 300 horsepower, paired with an automatic transmission, a rare pairing for a car with this kind of racing soul. All of it sat on a finely tuned suspension, offering total control, like carving through curves on open sea. Its minimalist open cabin was built for the driver, low-slung seats, clean instrumentation, and a sense of speed even when the car stood still. But like many concept cars of the era, only one functional unit was built, alongside a second non-operational display model. The saddest part. The original working unit was destroyed by GM itself as part of its internal policy to keep prototypes off the road. Fortunately, the non-functional version was saved, restored, and today lives on in a private collection valued at several $1 million. The Pontiac Club de Mer was a fleeting, elegant sigh, a fantasy that smelled like sea salt and gasoline, a forgotten gem that feels more like a sculpture than a car, a reminder that design can move us like a sudden wave on a perfect day. 1956, Oldsmobile Golden Rocket. Just hearing its name, you know this wasn't your average car. The Oldsmobile Golden Rocket was exactly that. A rocket on wheels, designed not just to move, but to dazzle. From every angle, it looked like it had leapt off the cover of a pulp sci-fi magazine. Its body, painted in a gleaming metallic gold, was full of aerodynamic curves and space-age details. But this wasn't just about looks. The Golden Rocket was Oldsmobile's bold declaration that they could stand toe-to-toe with the wildest concepts from Cadillac and Buick. And wow, did they deliver? Under the hood, it packed a 275 horsepower Rocket 5.8, one of GM's most reliable and powerful engines of the decade. But what truly set this car apart were its interior innovations. The seats rotated automatically outward as the doors opened, making it easier to get in. Automatically, a feature that today only exists in ultra-luxury or custom vehicles. In 1956, that was pure magic. The steering wheel was oval-shaped and adjustable in both tilt and height. Another futuristic touch, and the center console looked straight out of a spaceship, packed with dials, chrome, and buttons everywhere. Only one functional unit was ever built, and sadly, it didn't survive. Like so many other GM dream cars, it was likely destroyed, adding even more mystique to its legend. The Golden Rocket was a brief explosion of pure imagination, a golden flash across the skies of the 1956 auto show, then gone. But for those who saw it, and for those who rediscover it today, it remains one of the most unforgettable concepts Oldsmobile ever created, because some cars drive and others soar. 1956, Chrysler Dart Diablo. In 1956, when most cars still looked like boxes on wheels, Virgil Exner, the design genius at Chrysler, decided it was time for an automobile to slice through the air with elegance, and thus the Chrysler Dart was born. a concept that looked like it had been sculpted by the wind itself. At first glance, the Dart felt like something completely new. It had a long, fluid silhouette with sharp lines and soft curves, as if it had been shaped by air currents instead of human hands. Its clean, low front end, uncluttered sides, and slightly raised rear came together in a symphony of aerodynamic beauty. This car didn't shout, it whispered speed. But what made the Dart even more remarkable was that, despite looking like a museum piece, it was fully drivable. It was powered by a 5.8-liter Hemi Futuristic 8, producing nearly 290 horsepower. Just as capable as it was captivating. Built on an Italian chassis and assembled by Ghia, it combined something almost impossible: American power with European craftsmanship. And the interior? Spectacle in its own right. Leather seats, brushed aluminum finishes, gauges seamlessly integrated into the dashboard, and a driving position that made you feel like you were the car. Though it never went into production, the Dart left a mark so deep that echoes of its design could be seen in later Chrysler and Imperial models, even in the Ghia Lancia. Today, the original Dart is an extremely rare collector's item, valued well into the seven-figure range. But more than that, it's proof that design can speak before the engine ever does. It was a Dart shot into the future by a man who understood that the wind isn't the car's enemy, but its greatest ally. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think this design still outshines many modern cars? Could you have imagined something this breathtaking was created in 1956? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to know if you, too, feel that somewhere along the way, we lost a little of that magic. 1954, Dodge Fire Arrow 4. This car was the grand finale of a series of concept vehicles that looked more like they came off a runway in Milan than out of a mechanic's garage. And that's no coincidence. Its design was the work of the legendary Carrozzeria Ghia in collaboration with Chrysler, blending pure Italian style with raw American muscle. The Fire Arrow 4 was the only one in the series to be truly functional and seriously considered for potential production. A wide-bodied, low-slung roadster, it featured long, clean lines and an almost aristocratic elegance. Its body was painted in a striking red, with chrome accents that caught the light like a mirror. From any angle, it looked like a car made for a movie star, or for someone who simply needed to be seen. Beneath all that beauty roared a 4.0-liter Red Ram Hemi 5.8, generating nearly 250 horsepower, mated to a Powerflight automatic transmission. For the time, it was more than enough power to move this masterpiece with grace and authority, and it did. Unlike many over-the-top concepts, the Fire Arrow 4 glided through the streets like it knew exactly how many heads it was turning. The interior was just as jaw-dropping: fine leather upholstery, a sweeping dashboard, ergonomic controls, and a driving position that made the pilot feel like royalty. It was received so well that Dodge even developed a limited production model based on it, the Dodge Firebomb. Today, the Fire Arrow 4 still exists, and its value exceeds $3 million at private auctions. But beyond the price tag, what this car represents is one of those rare moments when European design daring met American ambition and horsepower, and they didn't just shake hands, they danced. It whispered to the industry, yes, you can have beauty, power, and elegance all at once. And after seeing all of this, doesn't it blow your mind to realize that over 60 years ago, they were already dreaming of ideas and technologies many modern cars still haven't caught up to? These concept cars weren't just machines. They were declarations of freedom, of unchained creativity, of an America that looked up at the sky and said, we're going there, but we're doing it in style. Now it's your turn. Which of these concept cars left you speechless? Was it the futuristic aggression of the Firebird 3, the nautical elegance of the Club de Mer, or the Martian luxury of the Cyclone? Don't leave without commenting. Your voice is part of this living archive of automotive history we're building together. This channel isn't just for watching, It's for sharing real passions with a community that gets chills from every engine that roared, even if only once. And if you love this journey into the future of the past, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because what's coming next will blow your mind. And speaking of things you won't believe, you've seen the most incredible. Now I dare you to explore the 10 weirdest and ugliest American cars of the 1950s. Yes, the strangest, most absurd, and downright confusing creations ever to hit the road. Click here and get ready to laugh, be amazed, and ask yourself, what were they thinking? See you there.